John F. Kennedy, a young charismatic leader full of promise and vision for a brighter future. He captured the hearts and minds of Americans, inspiring hope and a sense of unity across the nation. But behind the charm and the public adoration, a storm brewed, unseen by many. JFK was not afraid to challenge the status quo, to push boundaries and question established norms. He saw the dangers of the Cold War, understanding the delicate balance of power that could tip the world into chaos. He wanted peace, not endless conflict. His vision was one of diplomacy and mutual understanding. This put him at odds with powerful forces within his own government. The military-industrial complex thrived on war. The CIA craved control and influence over global affairs. They saw JFK as a threat to their power, a leader who could dismantle their carefully constructed plans. JFK's actions, his decisions, and his policies fueled their suspicions and fears. He refused to escalate the Vietnam War, a stance that was unpopular with many in the military establishment. He negotiated a treaty banning nuclear tests, a bold move towards global disarmament. He even dared to challenge the Federal Reserve, questioning its influence over the nation's economy. These actions made him enemies, powerful enemies who were not accustomed to being challenged. Powerful enemies in high places, within the corridors of power in Washington, D.C. enemies, who whispered in the shadows, plotting and scheming. Enemies who might have considered unthinkable solutions to maintain their grip on power. Some believe a covert meeting took place, a gathering of powerful figures who saw JFK as a liability, a gathering of powerful men, driven by a desire to protect their interests at any cost. They saw JFK as weak, a leader whose policies could undermine their power and influence. They feared his policies would weaken America, making it vulnerable in a world of superpowers. These men, driven by paranoia and a lust for power, might have decided to take matters into their own hands. The evidence is circumstantial, but the implications are profound. But the possibility, however chilling, remains. The idea that powerful forces conspired against JFK is a haunting one. The wheels of conspiracy, once set in motion, are difficult to stop. They gain momentum, fueled by secrecy and ambition. Did powerful forces conspire against JFK? Did they view him as a threat that needed to be eliminated? The questions linger unanswered, casting a long shadow over American history. The legacy of JFK is one of both inspiration and mystery. His assassination remains one of the most debated events in history, a tragic end to a promising presidency. The rumors started swirling, spreading like wildfire through the corridors of power and the streets of America. Whispers of discontent, of plots and plans, of secret meetings held behind closed doors. JFK's enemies were growing bolder, their voices louder, their actions more daring. They felt he was leading America down a dangerous path, one that threatened their interests and their vision for the country. Some say they met in secret, away from prying eyes and curious ears. Powerful men in smoke-filled rooms plotting and scheming, their intentions hidden behind a veil of cigar smoke. They discussed their options, their faces grim, their voices low, weighing the pros and cons of their dark plans. Did they decide that JFK had to go? The evidence is murky, shrouded in layers of secrecy and deception. Names are whispered, then quickly hushed. Lyndon B. Johnson, J. Edgar Hoover, figures of immense power and influence. Even former CIA Director Allen Dulles, a man with a history of covert operations and clandestine activities. These men had the means and the motive to eliminate JFK, to remove him from the equation. But could they really be involved in such a heinous act? Could they orchestrate the assassination of a sitting president?
The truth remains hidden, obscured by layers of lies and half-truths. Lost in a maze of speculation and conjecture, where every turn leads to more questions than answers. But the possibility of a conspiracy is undeniable, a shadow that looms over the official narrative. Too many questions remain unanswered, too many pieces of the puzzle that don't quite fit. Too many coincidences line up, forming a pattern that is hard to ignore. Was JFK's assassination the act of a lone gunman? Or was there a larger, more sinister plot at play? Or was it something far more sinister? A conspiracy that reached the highest levels of power? The American people deserve to know the truth, to understand the forces that shaped their history. They deserve to know if their president was murdered by a conspiracy, if the events of that fateful day were orchestrated by powerful men. But the truth is elusive, slipping through the fingers of those who seek it. It hides in the shadows, waiting to be revealed, a secret that may never see the light of day.
November 21st, 1963, the day before the assassination. An undercurrent of tension gripped Dallas. The city was on edge. JFK was coming. And with him came a storm of controversy. Strange things were happening. People noticed. They talked. Rumors spread like wildfire. A motorcade route change, raising eyebrows. Anti-JFK leaflets circulating, fueling the flames of hatred. Witnesses reported unusual activity at Dealey Plaza, the place where it would all happen. Men were seen on the grassy knoll as if conducting surveillance. Workers were spotted inside the Texas School Book Depository. Strange, considering it was a holiday.
Something wasn't right. The air was thick with anticipation. Of what, nobody knew for sure. But a sense of foreboding hung over the city, like a bad omen foreshadowing the tragedy to come. Was it just a series of coincidences? Or were darker forces at play, orchestrating a deadly symphony?
November 22nd, 1963, a date that would forever be etched in the annals of history. A day etched in history, marking a pivotal moment in the American narrative. A day that began with hope and ended in despair, as the nation watched in disbelief. JFK's motorcade snaked through the streets of Dallas, a symbol of optimism and progress. Cheering crowds lined the route, their faces filled with admiration and excitement, but amidst the joy, a sense of unease lingered. Then, the unthinkable happened. Shots rang out, shattering the moment. The crowd erupted in chaos, a scene of pandemonium and fear. The world watched in horror as a young president's life was cut short, leaving a nation in mourning. The official story is simple, yet it leaves many questions unanswered. Lee Harvey Oswald, a lone gunman, acted alone, or so we are told. But the evidence tells a different story, one filled with inconsistencies and doubts, a story of conspiracy and cover-up, fueling endless debates and theories.
The events of that day are seared into the nation's memory, a collective trauma that lingers. The Zapruder film, capturing the assassination in gruesome detail, became an indelible part of history. The stunned faces of onlookers caught in a moment of unimaginable shock. The world mourned together. But amidst the grief, questions arose, questions that have never been fully answered, questions that continue to haunt us today. Why was JFK targeted? Who else was involved? What were the true motives? And what really happened on that fateful day in Dallas? The search for truth continues. I remember it so clearly, you know. I was right there at Dealey Plaza when it all happened. The shots rang out and everyone was in a panic. But what really stuck with me was the movement on the grassy knoll. It felt like there was something, or someone, there.
Many eyewitnesses, like S2, have reported seeing unusual activity on the grassy knoll that day.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to forget. There were people pointing, shouting, some even ran towards the knoll.
Despite numerous official investigations, the mystery of the grassy knoll remains unsolved, leaving us with more questions than answers. The Umbrella Man and the Babushka Lady are two mysterious figures captured in photographs and film on the day of the assassination. Their presence has sparked numerous theories and speculations.
The Umbrella Man, standing with his umbrella open on a sunny day, has puzzled researchers for decades. Some suggest he was signaling to the shooters, while others believe it was just a bizarre coincidence.
The Babushka Lady, named for the headscarf she wore, was seen filming the motorcade. Despite extensive searches, her identity and the footage she captured remain unknown.
These figures add layers of mystery to an already complex event, leaving us to wonder about their true roles and intentions.
Only 2 days after the assassination, Lee Harvey Oswald was shot and killed by nightclub owner Jack Ruby. This shocking event unfolded on live television, further complicating the narrative.
I was there, watching the news when it happened. It was surreal, like something out of a movie. One moment Oswald was being escorted by police, and the next he was on the ground, shot.
Ruby's motives have been the subject of much debate. Was it an act of spontaneous rage, or was there a deeper conspiracy at play?
People were already on edge, and Ruby's actions only fueled the fire. It made everyone question what was really going on behind the scenes.
The journey of President Kennedy's body from Dallas to Washington, D.C. was fraught with controversy and confusion. The handling of the body raised numerous questions about the integrity of the investigation.
There were discrepancies in the autopsy reports, and some even claim that the body was tampered with during transit. These inconsistencies have led to suspicions of a cover-up.
The chain of custody of the body, the decisions made by officials, and the conflicting reports all contribute to the ongoing debate about what truly happened.
It's these unresolved issues that keep the conspiracy theories alive. People want answers, and until they get them, the speculation will continue.
Decades later, the assassination of President Kennedy remains one of the most debated events in American history. Despite numerous investigations and theories, many questions remain unanswered.
The Warren Commission concluded that Oswald acted alone, but not everyone is convinced. There are still gaps in the evidence and lingering doubts about the official story.
The release of classified documents has shed some light on the events, but also raised new questions. The full truth, it seems, is still out of reach.
As a historian, I can tell you that history is rarely black and white. The Kennedy assassination is a prime example of how complex and elusive the truth can be.
And so, the search for answers continues, driven by the hope that one day the full story will be revealed.